Hi, welcome back to the podcast. This is the 14-day challenge, and we are talking to two amazing guests today, talking about video. We are talking to Jan and Jeremy. They are from Expert Content Pros, and we are talking about video and the importance of it. And this was a very special episode that I had to get into this series because I'm passionate about video. I have been passionate about video for a very long time. The guys have actually just put together some videos for me, and they are mind-blowingly amazing. So we're going to get into that and talk more about that, what we did together, and why I find video so important. So guys, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, same for me. Nice to see you again, Caroline. We've been doing interviews for a while now, so it's nice to be here chatting with you again.
Yeah, it's been about 6 years, so it's fantastic that we're back at it again. So I invited the both of you on because I needed to, when I was putting together this 14-day challenge, I knew that video was such an important part these days of having a successful business. I wanted today's episode to really talk on the whole premise that not everyone's comfortable in front of video. I never was. I've spoken about this in my past videos before, trainings that I've done, that I was so uncomfortable in front of video. And when I tell people that now, they're very surprised. I'm no longer uncomfortable. I've got some really good tricks on how to make that work. But people are probably listening or watching this thinking, oh, I would never do video because it's not for me. So I'd love to get into that, why it's so good, how you can actually do video even if you're not comfortable in front of a camera, and just everything about why video really makes a difference in a business. And I really want to start with a question about, Jan, I want you to answer this because I know you love your stats. Let's get into why video is really good and the statistics behind it, and results that you've seen, and what other people are saying and what you two have seen when it comes to video work.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to answer that. And just to give some context, actually, Jeremy and I are not videographer. We didn't go to any video production school or anything like that. We're actually both former journalists, coincidentally. I'm based in Finland. He's based in Indiana. And we are also been in podcasting for years and years and years. And now we, as Caroline said, we're focusing on video. And with some of the stats, I think it's good to share why video makes sense. And I have a few stats in front of us, actually, because we are preparing for a speaking event later this week at the time we're recording this. So in terms of why using video, well, first of all, I think it's important to think about the overall engagements, the responses we can get from video. And this is from StreamYard's State of Sales and Virtual Selling report. And it states that using video for sales outreach has increased response rates for more than 60% of sales reps. So it basically means that over half of the sales reps that were part of this survey used video and they got good results. They got better responses. In addition to that, we've also had sales pros report buyers that are 50% more responsive to messages sent via sales engagement platforms or other technologies that have at least one video as part of the cycle. So again, you see the power of using video, and I'm going to throw one more stat that has to do more with proposals. So when we're thinking about sales, we're thinking about, okay, we may send a proposal out. This is from Proposify's State of Proposals. They say that adding a video to your proposal can increase close rates by up to 41%. Not too shabby.
Fantastic. So I want to cover off what we've done together and the importance of that. But Jeremy, I wanted to ask you to it wasn't in our list of questions, so I'm just throwing this out there. I just want to ask you about the type of businesses that work really well for video. So a lot of the people listening, watching this, they're coaches, they might be dentists, they might be a service provider, they are some sort of coach, fitness instructor, some sort of online business. Are there types of businesses that you think it wouldn't work for, or are there ones that it works better for?
I'm not sure that there are any businesses I would say absolutely don't do video. It will harm your brand or it's not a good fit for you. That being said, I think there are different use cases for video and some companies that it might work even better for. So for example, you mentioned coaches, right? And I would expand that to any service provider. I think video just makes a lot of sense because essentially you're selling yourself, right? You're selling your wisdom, your knowledge. And when people are looking for a coach or a business consultant or whatever, what is it that they're looking for? They're looking for, it's not just about the pricing, right? It's not just about your list of services, because chances are that's going to be at least somewhat similar to, your competitors. I think ultimately they're really looking for, like, who are you? What's it going to be like to work with you one-on-one? And ideally, people want that to be a good experience. So they're looking for someone who's not just competent at their job. That's kind of table stakes, right? But a person that they're going to vibe with, someone they're going to actually look forward to spending time with. And video is just the best medium to convey that, right? The absolute best way to do, of course, is in person, one-on-one, right? Like having an actual call, but you got to get there, right? So if you're online, unless you are a purely local business, right? If you're trying to reach out, to people wherever they are, being able to show up as yourself on video in a conversational way, that's just gold. I mean, there's no better way to do that. If you compare it, say, to writing a blog, even if you're a really good writer, number one, people are going to skim it, not read it, or they'll use AI to just kind of sum it up in like one sentence, right? It's just really hard to convey a human personality in a blog post, let's say,
I definitely agree.
But in video, of course, you're showing up as yourself. And if you do it the right way, and we'll talk more about what the right way means, but if you do it in the right way, then that can really warm up prospects, and it can and will differentiate you. Because even if what you're offering is pretty similar to, other people, to your competitors, the way that you show up and the way that you talk about it is always going to be unique to you, because every person is unique. And I think that's kind of what's at the heart of why video is so effective. That's like the why behind those stats that Yang was talking about.
Yeah, fantastic. So, Jan, what would you say if someone's listening to this? What sort of videos could people create that would help them, get across to their audience without looking fake, without wasting their time? What sort of videos do you recommend?
Yeah, I think to think about video, you need to think about your strategy, or to simplify it. Let's talk about something that most people here have at least heard about once: funnel. You want to think about what does your funnel look like, and without overcomplicating it too much, you can think about a three-step funnel. You have the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel, where ideally you want people to get all the way to the bottom and you get the sale. So for the top of the funnel, you can have thought leadership kind of videos. So it's the videos you often see on social media, on platforms like LinkedIn, for example, where you may educate people, you may inform them, you may inspire them, and so forth. Then you have the middle of the funnel, and there you have great opportunities, for example, in regards to prospecting. People may send cold emails, DMs, but you can stand out and do what Jeremy was talking about a moment ago, and really show up by yourself and show the human side of your business by using video. You don't want to go overboard with it, but you can really use video to stand out. And at the moment, not many people are using video in their prospecting. When we are using it, we often hear it from prospects and clients: wow, that was actually a really nice video. What tools are you using? And all those sort of questions, which make us understand that we're doing things right. So for the top of the funnel, we have top of the funnel, thought leadership type of content. Middle of the funnel, you can think short video messages that you send through emails or through platforms like LinkedIn, for example. And then for the bottom of the funnel, there is different types of videos. One use case that we have used every now and then, and I remember when somebody used it with me, I was really impressed by, was you can use it for onboarding new clients, but you can even use it to thank them. So for example, as soon as somebody makes a purchase, they can receive a video. And ideally, you would want for that to be personalized. I remember once I purchased, I think it was a course or something like that, and I got a video message from the creator. And the way he set it up, it was really good, because it was evening for him. He said, I'm out walking my dogs, just got a notification that you made a purchase, and I wanted to say thank you. What a great way for me as a new customer to experience his brand and his business, because he carved out a few seconds to personally thank me, and do so in a personal way.
Yeah, I love that. So I think that there's the difference between a professional video and a one that you make yourself. I had that experience with the two of you a couple of weeks ago when we did my videos. Like I said in the beginning, I'm not, I never like doing video to begin with. And doing it with you guys, even, I think you guys are fantastic and you're both very easy to get along with. But for me personally, it does, as soon as I have to read a script and think through that I'm formally doing this, I freak out and that's it for me. And you guys saw me, I'm sort of like, what do I say now? What do I do? And when I talk just naturally like this, because I know my business really well, this is easy for me to talk like this because it's sort of like I just say what comes to mind. I don't really think about it, but the formality of thinking through a script is harder for me. But what I found was when I did that with you two, I haven't even said this to you yet, so you don't even know this. This is like all live. I'm saying this to you. I got the videos back and I was really worried. I was like, oh my God, but the way you guys edited those videos were absolutely amazing. Like, I am so impressed with them that I was like, hey, I'm really freaking good. If I didn't know what I was doing when I videoed them, I would have been like, hey, I'm a rock star. But you guys turned it into something really fantastic. And what I can take away from that is that I can just give this tip that if someone's watching this and thinking that they don't like video, working with a team like you guys, I know you guys do this all the time, working with a team like the two of you who actually can do exactly what you did for me and turning that into an edited, finished product, doesn't matter how you don't feel confident in front of a camera, you're going to look fantastic. Like what you did for me, I felt was something that I can take away and be really proud of. It got my story across. I love the fact that what you both came up with was you came up with the concept for me. Carolyn, we're going to cover off these topics. These are the things that you need to get across. And I'm in this industry and I know marketing and I know all of that, but I love the way you two both thought about it. That whole top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel, welcoming people. So just like, I guess, why don't we just run through sort of what we did together for me? Like what sort of videos did you create for me and why? Like, and so people can sort of understand what sort of videos would be a good idea if they were a coach or.
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in if that's okay. And just to take a quick step back, what you mentioned before, that a lot of people shy away from video because the prospect of looking right into the camera and just kind of performing is scary, especially if you're not a performer. Like that's a specific skill that people train to become good at. Some people might be naturally good at it. And if you are, frankly, if you just feel comfortable, great. Then, that's one way to do it. And some people are able to pull that off. But for a lot of people, that's just awkward and uncomfortable because either it's hard to just talk off the cuff so that it comes out very naturally, and that can take a lot of practice. Or if you writing a script takes time. And then if you're reading or performing the script from a teleprompter, unless you are spending hours and hours practicing that, then it's going to look like you're reading a script. And you can almost always tell right away. And that's a problem because just like we were saying before, how video can be so powerful and attractive and all that stuff, but if it's done in the wrong way, it can be equally repellent. So if you catch a video when someone is like clearly sort of like deer in the headlights and they're like, you can see their eyes moving, reading a thing, you're just like, oh, this is fake. This is marketing. And it can hurt your brand. Right.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with that. And now, the question you asked, so turning to what we did with you, I think it's worth talking about the method we used just for a second. Essentially, we did kind of what we're doing right now. We just had a conversation, it was a little more planned out, right? As you mentioned, we worked with you beforehand to plan out what do you want to talk about. Let's break it down into, I think we did 5 or 6 videos for you. So we kind of identified those 5 or 6 things and then how to talk about them, the talking points we want to hit, who's your audience, like what angle are we trying to get here, so that by the time we got to the interview, and we had some questions that we shared with you, but by the time we actually hit record, we all know exactly what we're going for. But then there's still room for an actual conversation. So it's not scripted. We didn't tell you what to say. We just kind of put the parameters within which we'll have that conversation, right? So then it's just very natural and it flows. And what we're able to capture is in my opinion, and I think this is just objectively true, is the best kind of content because it's you showing up as yourself, speaking freely without overthinking it, almost kind of getting out of your own way. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
often with marketing, like when we're crafting a value proposition or messaging for a website, it's like you scrutinize every word, right? And run it through a million different versions and show it to everyone. And it gets, oftentimes it ends up getting overbaked, and whatever was cool and original about it in the first place kind of gets leached out, and you end up with something that's a little safer but also more boring and just kind of blends in. The beauty of what we call the interview engine is that, again, with enough prep, you can show up very confidently as yourself and just talk. And we've all been in that flow of conversation where you're not really thinking about it. You're just talking and thinking out loud and exchanging ideas. That's where the best stuff comes from. It's all up there. You just need a way to get it out, right? Like almost permission to just kind of let loose and get it out. That's the beauty of it. That's the process. And I think that's what's so cool. And it's fun. It's fun to have a conversation, so
But sorry, no, I was
yeah.
going to say, but I have to say that the two of you made it super easy. I worked in film and TV for more than 10 years, and I've worked with a lot of videographers, a lot of photographers, a lot of people at that, on that side of the camera. And I can tell you that the way you two are makes a world of difference, because if you would have come across like arrogant as in, oh, okay, I'm going to tell you how to do this, or, oh, I know more than you, or come on, give me your answers because I've got to roll it along. If it would have been like that, it would have taken it to a different level of me not feeling comfortable. Whereas the two of you made me feel so comfortable, and it was just a conversation. And I think you nailed it in that, is that it is a conversation, and that's why it comes across so nicely. But your editing as well, the way you edited everything together is fantastic. It makes it fast and quick. But yeah, without the two of you being the people that you are, I wouldn't have had that same experience. It's 100%. And I know that from being on film and TV.
Yeah, well, I have more to say, but Jan, chime in. I don't want to dominate.
Yeah, no. First of all, thank you for the kind words, Caroline. And it was definitely fun to work with you, like a lot of fun for real. And I think that what Jeremy said, it's really spot on. And people may say, well, okay, but how do I do it? I'm just by
Mm.
myself. I think the one thing that you can do in that case is you can have some notes in front of you. I wouldn't have things written down, like Jeremy said, for example, a script, because it's obvious that you're reading. But if you have, for example, some bullet points, it's okay. And depending on the type of video, you may even mention, okay, so let me just go back to my notes. That may be okay in some video styles. But the one thing I'm going to add is to what both of you have said is the interview engine method that we use, the power of conversation, is really what enables people to just be themselves at the end of the day. Because like Jeremy, we have been in podcasting for many years. I've been over 10 years now. And I remember sometimes people would ask, how do you go about recording a solo podcast? Because you're just talking to the wall or you're just talking into the microphone. And I always said, well, for me, I'm thinking about, I was lucky enough to actually meet some of my listeners in person, so I can think about a specific person. If you don't have anybody specific in mind, you can think about somebody that you know, can be a colleague, can be a prospect, can be a client, and just talk to them. And the same when you're recording the videos. If you're recording them by yourself, then try to make them conversational. So make sure that you're talking with the people or even the person who's actually watching. And of course, having people like Jeremy and I can really help, because we can guide you through every step of the process. And we've been doing this for a long time. I know if I started to count, I can count for myself between podcasts, so audio only, and videos. I think I've done probably some 600-700 videos, podcast interviews, and so forth. So the one thing I would add is just really to put the focus on being as conversational as possible. Also, because that when you're conversational and the video is framed that way, even if you make a small mistake, for example, I make mistakes. English is not my mother tongue. Sometimes I trip on my tongue. It's still fine. But if you try to be super polished, then every single mistake you're gonna
Mm.
make, you're gonna be like, oh, well, do I take that out? Do I take that breathing out? And so forth. You don't want that. People come for the content. So the way you look, the way you sound are really important, but ultimately it's what you communicate and how. So if you are talking, when you're talking with people, you're not really thinking, oh, well, I shouldn't say this, I should use this tone of voice. You're just talking. And you want to do the same when you're creating the videos, even if you create them for professional or business purposes, like we help our clients do.
Fantastic. I love that. So I want to keep this as short and succinct as possible because there's 14 days of this challenge and there's a lot that people have to cover off. I want to finish up with talking about what are a couple of tips that you would say, let's just walk someone through. If they're watching this and they think, okay, I should create some videos, what would be, say, for instance, a video? What would be the first video that you would recommend that they do? How would you go about, Jan? I know you just gave some really good tips. So how would you just sort of say, what I would recommend you do is to create your first video, go ahead and do this. So can we just wrap it up with a quick way to get going?
Jeremy and I are always on the same wavelength. Let's see if this is the case. Jeremy, do you have a specific video in mind that people should start with? Because I do.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean,
I'll give you a hint. It has to do with their website.
Yeah, okay, I think we are on the same wavelength. So, yeah, we've already mentioned, right? We've already talked a little bit about videos you can create for a DM campaign or a link or an email campaign, right, for prospecting. I think if you're going to start and just want to, try it simply, a great place to start is with a video for your website that could either be for your about page, let's say, or for the hero section of your website. Because, and if I had to choose, I'd go with the hero section simply because that's the first thing people see, And I was talking before about the value prop and how that can get overbaked a little bit, right? And that's where the value prop is, right? That's the first thing you want people to see is here's what we do for you. Here's what's in this for you. And here's the value, right? I think having and what is the purpose of the hero section, right? It's to, orient people when they come, but it's also to immediately, right? Because people have these short attention spans, immediately give them a sense of not only what you do, but how you're different. What's unique about you compared to all the other businesses that do more or less the same thing, And a video right there, I would argue, is the single best and easiest way to convey that difference. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. And we have a client for whom we did this pretty recently. And in fact, he just posted it to the hero section of his website. And it's really simply him introducing himself to people. Hi, welcome to my website. I'm so-and-so. This is my business. And we're all about, in this case, we're all about growth. It's a very short video. It's maybe 1 minute. And he just basically, doesn't go into too much detail. He just, again, introduces himself. Here's what we're all about. Here's the kind of cool stuff you'll find on the website. And we'd love to work with you. It's really simple. It doesn't go super into depth or anything, but it just immediately differentiates him because he's a unique individual and you're already getting to know him a little bit. And now think that if, let's say that you've been using videos in your prospecting, right? And so some of the people you're reaching out to who've never met you, they've already seen you a little bit on video and now they're coming to your website. How cool is it that when they come to your website, there you are again in video and you're like, oh yeah, that guy. Okay, cool. Like there he is. As opposed to the typical experience of going to a website where you're just like, okay, where am I? What am I seeing? And I have to read all this stuff.
Words.
And when you think about it, that makes a big demand on the website visitor, right? It's an automatic, like your first reaction is, okay, I don't have time to like really read all this and spend how much does this cost? Okay, whatever, bye, going away. But if there's a video just to orient you and kind of welcome you and guide you through the experience of the website, I think there are also stats around how video can really improve website conversions, and I think that's why, because it has that immediate differentiating factor. And if you go beyond just one video, right, you start with the hero section and then down where you talk about our offerings, our services, right? Usually that's also not the most awesome like reading experience. You're like not sure what you're seeing and it all sounds the same. Little video, 30 seconds. Hey, want to give you a little context around our services, the about page, instead of a wall of text, going into a little more depth about the background of your business, how you got into it, that kind of thing. You can begin to get the sense of how that's just a much more personalized experience for people who come to your website. What do you think, Jan?
Yeah, that's exactly the type of video I was thinking about as well. And it's what you should start with also because it's content wise is the easiest to create. It's just about taking what you know about your business, about your prospects, the pain points they have, and how you help them solve, and just communicate that in video form. Unlike other videos where maybe you want to have a bit more information, data, maybe you want to share some stats and stuff like that, so you need to prepare. But to talk about it from your for when it comes to your business, it's like you going to a networking event. If somebody asks you, what do you do, you're not going to pull out a notebook and start to read your notes. You're just going to tell people what it is that you actually do and how you help your clients, who they are and how you help them. And you can do the same on your website. So I think that's definitely the first type of video I would start with. And then two quick things I would share is the first one is chances are you already have some content on your social. You may have a blog, an email list. So you already have a very good library of content that you can tap into. So you could take some of those topics and talk about them in video. And voila, all of a sudden you have an editorial calendar, you have a content strategy, and you can start with video. And the last thing I'm going to add in regards to this point is think about the steps of the funnel we were talking about earlier. What does your customer journey look like, and think, are there some spots where I could add video to really make that a unique experience? And it doesn't need to get super complicated. It could be, for example, when somebody books a call with you, maybe you send them a quick video message where you just say, hey, I'm looking forward to chatting with you. I noticed you book a call. I'm really excited. See you soon. When somebody makes a
Imagine
purchase.
the conversion rate on that of them showing up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're much more likely to show up in that case.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, or following up. So just think about what your customer journey looks like and try to identify a couple of spots where you can start with video. Keep it short and sweet, and then you'll start to see the power of video working for your business.
I love it. Guys, I wrote down 3 questions already just from this. I want to keep this short. Like I said, I've got 3 questions that I want to get into, but I think today is not the time. I want to get you both back again on another interview where we go into a lot more detail. We can go into another episode in more detail. This is about the 14-day challenge. And so this is really about, I want people to look at these 14 days and think, okay, I'm going to take that tip and run with it. And I want everyone after this interview, after this episode, to run away and say, okay, I'm going to quickly create, like you said, 1-minute video. That's all it needs to be. Pop it somewhere into your funnel and see the difference it makes. So yeah, that's the takeaway from today. And I think that I'm so glad I got you both on, because that's exactly, I'm so passionate about video, and I think it's really can make a big difference to business. And you do stand out because not enough people are still doing video. Video's been around for a long time, but I think that there's still huge amounts of opportunity to get a lot of great conversions, to get more profits, to get more leads just by adding some video to your business.
Yep. I'll just respond to that really quickly. That you're totally right. That video's been around for a long time, and also the buzz around video's been around for a long time, right? If you ever Google, or maybe now AI search, best kind of content for marketing, or like best ROI, video is always at the top, or at least near the top. But what
Yeah.
always strikes me is that, of all the DMs I get, of all the emails I get, and that we all get, how often is there any video incorporated? Almost never, right? Of the average website you go to, how often do you see video being used strategically on it? It's pretty rare. I think it's mostly at the enterprise level, actually, because video can be very expensive, which is something we didn't even talk about. But, it's not unusual to like look for video producers, and they're like, yeah, we can create 2-minute video. It's going to be about $6,000. You're like, oh, okay. How can I
Yeah.
scale that? And the problem is one video won't do much. You have to, just like any content marketing, you have to keep doing it and have, more than one, and like really diversify it. So there's kind of a gap between all the buzz around video and how people are actually using it. And I think it's for the smaller businesses, right? Even for the solopreneur, the small business, um, that's a shame, because you're really missing out for all the reasons we've been talking about. And that's what kind of animated me and animated Jan to, doing what we're doing. We're like, people should be able to do video. And in fact, you can. You totally can do it, either with our help or on your own, or with the help of somebody else. You know what I mean? It's so powerful. And I think we feel passionately about let's get more people doing video because it's just to everybody's benefit. But it is striking that so few people do it because it's hard.
Yeah, and I think you have both made it really simplified the idea of it, because I think you've both given some really good tips on how you can just jump in there and create a quick video. I recommend anyone listening or watching this, if they do want to work with professionals, I know that your prices are nowhere near $6,000. So definitely reach out, because I think that while the stuff I do myself is fantastic, and I take a lot of pride in what I do, I think that what you both have created for me is at a completely different level. So, I thank both of you for what you've done for me. So I'm excited. I'm going to be launching that all on my website in the next couple of days. But so by the time this is out, people will be able to see it. But yeah, I think that doing something professionally is different from doing it yourself. Yeah, so it's definitely worth it. So thank you, both of you. I want to get you both back on another episode. Everyone listening or watching, please take action, do something with video. It's definitely worth it. And I'll actually put a link in here. I'll make a quick video on my little tips, my personal tips on how to feel comfortable in front of a camera. I can give you some of my own tips. I'll do that in another video, because it's not hard at all. Once you get into it, I think it's super easy. And thank you, guys. It's fantastic to have you both here. And everyone who's watching, keep going at the 14-day challenge, because you will find big success in your business by following a couple of tips each day. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Carolyn.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.